Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into India's approach to the Iran-Israel conflict. We'll be using the sources you sent over. Our goal here is, well, to understand how a major player like India handles these incredibly tricky geopolitical situations.
It really is a fascinating case study. It shows how they balance, so many different interests while still pushing for peace. And what's striking is just the sheer variety of their responses, strategically speaking, very dynamic.
Okay, so let's maybe kick things off with India's messaging. They've been pretty consistent, haven't they? Always calling for restraint, for dialogue. Our sources point out they were deeply concerned after Iran fired missiles at Israel back in October 2024, always urging a peaceful way out.
Yes, that call for de-escalation has been constant.
But here's something I found really interesting. In June 2024, at that SCO meeting, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they didn't condemn the Israeli strikes. They deliberately withheld condemnation. What does that tell us about how deep their neutrality goes?
Well, it tells us quite a lot, actually. It's not just being neutral passively. It's more like a sophisticated strategy, maybe multi-alignment.
Multi-alignment, okay.
Yeah, because they maintain strong security links with Israel. We know that. But at the same time, they're engaging Iran. Joint naval exercises, high-level talks. It's less walking a tightrope and more skillfully juggling relationships. It lets them talk to everyone.
Yeah,
Advocate for peace without seeming biased.
right, from a position of having connections on both sides. And this isn't just abstract diplomacy, is it? It had real-world consequences, immediate ones. Remember June 2025, when the conflict really flared up? India launched Operation Sindhu almost immediately, June 18th.
That was the airlift, yes. Huge operation.
Huge. Over 2,200 Indian citizens, students, pilgrims flown out from both Iran and Israel. And the sources mention some harrowing stories from those who returned, especially from Iran. Really highlights why the government had to act so fast.
Absolutely. The human cost is always front and center.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just about rescuing citizens. India was also very focused on maritime security, watching the Strait of Hormuz very closely. That's vital for their trade, for their flagships.
Makes sense. Keep the trade routes open.
Exactly. And they also made sure they had diverse oil sources, built up strategic reserves, just in case of disruptions. And you know what's quite telling? How India's own financial markets reacted. The rupee, the stock market. They responded positively when ceasefire news emerged.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, because lower oil prices mean less inflation pressure. That's a direct economic benefit people feel. So geopolitics hitting home.
A really clear link there. And this proactive stance went right to the top, didn't it? Prime Minister Modi himself, he called the Iranian President Pezeshkian on June 22nd, pushing for immediate de-escalation, offering support for peace.
High-level engagement.
And the MEA spokesperson, Rantir Jaiswal, that's the Ministry of External Affairs, he confirmed they were monitoring everything, including worries about strikes near nuclear sites, constant contact with their embassies on the ground, too.
So you see this really multifaceted approach. High-level diplomacy, yes, but also economic planning, citizen safety, maritime security. It really shows how they engage strategically, protecting their own people, their interests, but also trying to be a stabilizing force in a volatile world.
It's less about picking sides, more about navigating complexity.
Precisely. Pragmatic, clear objectives.
So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you listening? India's response here, it really looks like a masterclass in, well, dynamic diplomacy. Not aligned to rigid blocks, it's a very active way of pursuing peace and national interest. Quite something to watch.
And it leaves us with a thought, doesn't it? In this world where everything's so connected, where conflicts have ripple effects everywhere, what can we actually learn from India's approach? This balanced, proactive stance in crises. Could this model maybe influence how the world responds to conflict in the future? Something to think about.